So I don't know what's happening with Jai Gora and Bana and Radhajeev and Gopal Prabhu. I think they may be on their way to America right now. Gora Graganya Gana Gocha Goloruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyara Kopa Briksham Gopala Gadaratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachiya Dileka Kola Kahe Premananda Hemona Gauranga Hridoya Dadiya Bola Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurangera Namare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoyamara Pranare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema-bhakti-candrikā Parama-pumata Tasmai Jagan-mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Srikriyat Kripaya Jari Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathapta Brajabala Bapahimam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, nice to see everybody tonight. It's a little more intimate today. So we're reading, I think this is the 15th verse of the Mongol prayers, if I'm not mistaken, 15th or 16th. And we're continuing now with the Prema-bhakti-candrikā verses, which came right after the Anarpita Chirim Chirat Karuna Avatirna Kalo verse, which described the personality and mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as summarized by Srup Damodar Goswami. And then Guru Maharaj began with the verses from Prema-bhakti-candrikā, and I think we did 3 sessions or something on the last verse. Navadvipa Avatari Bhava Radha Bhava Angikari Tanra Kanti Angera Bhushantina Vancha Abhilasi Satchigarabhi Parakasi Sangilana Parisharagan, which described how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's purpose in appearing, what that was. So this, Guru Maharaj is speaking, this verse, it's connected with the Sanarpita Chirim Chirat verse. It speaks about how Mahaprabhu desired to appear, and his purpose in appearing to fulfill the 3 desires that are mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 1, text 6. Shiradaya Pranaya, Shiradaya Pranaya Mahima Kiddisovanayaiva, etc. So we want to then go on to the next verse in Prema-bhakti-candrikā, which Guru Maharaj quotes, which I think actually is verse number 17 in the Mongol. Godahari avatari premiravadara kodi sadila maniratina kaja radhikara pranapati kibabhavi kande niti ihabuje bhakata samaja. So Narottam Das Thakur, he's praying that Godahari Avatari, he just spoke about what is the mood of the Lord and how the Lord has this Tina Bancha Abhilasi, Satchigarbi Parakasi, to fulfill these three desires, to taste the mood of Radha, Satchigarba Parakasi. He appeared in the womb of Sachimata, and Sangilana Parishadagan. He appeared with all of his associates who came to help him to fulfill those three desires. And this is such an important thing. It's a very simple thing, but it's very, very important. We understand the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his desire is also manifest in the form of the Dham. His desire is also manifest in the form of his associates, because that Dham is a manifestation of Balaram, who, understanding the particular mood of the Lord, manifests as Ayodhya, manifests as Dwarka, manifests as Nabadweep, manifests as Vaikuntha, etc., to fulfill the particular mood the Lord is appearing in. If he appears as Lord Ramachandra, and he's doing some Manusha Lila, which is mixed with a little Aishvarja, then Lord Balaram appears as Ayodhya. If the Lord appears wanting to enjoy the full opulent pastimes of Aishvarya, he comes as Lord Narayan. Then Lord Balaram manifests himself as Vaikuntha. So, according to the desire of the Lord, the abode appears, and also his associates appear in a certain type of mood. When he comes as Lord Ramachandra, here in Puri, they have a saying, I don't know the audio, but they say that they consider that the Pandas in Treta Yuga were the monkeys of Lord Ramachandra. And in Dwarpa Yuga, they say they were the gopis. We find that a little unusual to try to accept. But anyway, the point being that the Lord manifests different moods, and his associates manifest accordingly to those particular moods. I don't know that I would say that the Vanaras, or the associates and monkey associates of Lord Ramachandra, became the gopis. Maybe some of them, but in general, our acharyas don't speak like that. But that's a kind of sentimental idea they have here in Puri. But the sentiment's not completely lost. There is some basis for it, because according to the mood the Lord has, those associates come in a particular mood and form, and they enhance the Lord's pastimes. So Sangilana Parishadagana, that's our review of the previous verse. So now, in the next verse, the Prema-bhakti-candrikā Narottam Das Thakur speaks about what is the Lord's work. What is he coming to do? Because everybody has some work. Krishna describes that in Bhagavad Gita. Everybody has something to do. Even if you say, no, I'm just a lazy person, and I'm just going to sleep all day. Well, that's your work. Your work is sleeping. You're doing something. You may say, I'm not doing anything, I'm just laying on my back. Well, you're laying on your back. That's something. Everybody is doing some kind of work. So the Lord also, he has some particular work that he's doing. So what is that work? There's this particular verse, which is the 17th verse in our Mongol Acharya, and the 114th verse in Prema-bhakti-candrikā describes. Godahari avatari premiravadadakari sadila maniratina kaja. So he appeared, Godahari avatari, he appeared in this golden form. He's Lord Hari, but he's come in a golden form because he's in the mood of Srimati Radhika, Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam, and Premira Bhadarakari. He's giving this prema, and how is he giving it? Bhadara means, kara means work, to do something. Bhadara means that, like a shower of rain, like a monsoon. He's giving that Krishna prema freely to everyone. Sadila manera nija kaj. And in this way, he's fulfilled Nija Kaj. Kaj also means work. We may say in Odia, Mora Kaj. My work is Mora Lekako Sampadik. I'm a publisher and a writer. That's my Kaj. So Sadila, he's fulfilled in this way. Manera, the Tina Kaj. Tina means the three, or sometimes it's said Nija in different versions. Guru Maharaj usually saying it as Tina, Tina meaning three, but Nija means his own. So Manera Tina Kaj means his three desires in his mind. Manera Nija Kaj means pretty much the same thing. It means his own Nija, his own desire, which is Tina, it's three. Radhikara Pranapati Kiva Radhikara Pranapati Kiva Pave Kande Niti Iha Bhuji Bhakata Samaj. So he's come, Shrimati Radharani, in Shrimati Radharani, Krishna for Radharani is her Pranapati. He's the life and soul of Shrimati Radharani. And Krishna's come now to understand he's that same Lord of Radharani's life. He's that Pranapati, the life and soul of Shrimati Radharani. But now he's coming, Kiva Bhavi. How is he coming? Kiva Bhavi, what kind of mood does he have? Kande Niti. He's always crying. This is his Niti. Niti means some behavior that you should do. It means some etiquette. This is his behavior. Kandare. He's always crying and crying. Iha Bhuje Bhakata Samaj. And he's doing this. We can understand him. Iha Bhuje, we understand him. He's doing this thing in the Bhakata Samaj, in the society of devotees. So it's so important to understand the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's come with his devotees. The devotees are trying to fulfill his desire to be a devotee himself. And he can only fulfill that desire in the association with the devotees when he's in the mood, when he's in Bhakti Rup. But if we put a peacock feather on his head, if we give him a flute, if we address him as Bhagavan, then he says, oh, then I can't taste this thing. And I don't want to get into this subject right now, but in case somebody's thinking, well, but we put tulsi leaves sometimes on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My Guru Maharaj said generally we shouldn't. And my observation is amongst general Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they generally don't. But sometimes they make a garland of tulsi leaves, and especially on days like Janmashtami, or like that, to show that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly Krishna. Just like Srimati Radharani, I used to address Radha Krishna quite often in Seattle and sometimes in Los Angeles. And there's a system which is in ISKCON, but also amongst many Vaishnavas, where they offer tulsi to Radharani. They don't offer it to her feet, generally, but they offer it to her hand. Or sometimes to the heart. Sometimes we put a tulsi leaf on the heart of Gurudev, because Gurudev has Krishna in his heart. Or we put a tulsi leaf on Gurudev's hand, or Radharani's hand, or Mahaprabhu's hand to offer it. And sometimes some devotees may worship, in worship of Mahaprabhu, they may put tulsi leaves on his feet, understanding that he's Vishnu Tattva. And they may dress him in a certain way, but that dress is for him. The worship is for us. He's coming in the mood of a devotee. He becomes disturbed. Be careful, you kick the camera cord. He's come in the mood of a devotee, and he becomes disturbed if people want to worship him as Krishna. But still the devotees, they have this mood, this understanding that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. So when they worship him, they sometimes worship him with tulsi leaves, even on his feet. But when they dress him for his particular mood. They don't put a flute in his hand, even though they may like to. They don't give him a Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, the symbols of Lord Vishnu. They don't give him a bow and arrow, the symbols of Lord Ramachandra. They may like to, but they don't do that. Rather, they dress him to serve him in a way that he likes. So, we're speaking now about how the Lord went to work. So after speaking about the cause of Mahaprabhu's descent, the previous verse in Prema-bhakti-candrikā, which Guru Maharaj spoke, now Narottam Das Thakur is describing what is the kaj. Nijakaj, what is the Lord's work. And he's saying, Gora Hari Avatari Premera Badara Kori Sadila Manera Nijakaj. That he's manifest, he's come to give this rain cloud, this shower down this rain fall of prema, and to fulfill his mind's desires, his own desires of his mind. So Mahaprabhu, as we've mentioned many times, he has a primary and a secondary objective. He has a mukhya and a gona, hetu, a primary purpose and a secondary purpose. And to realize, to relish the three desires which are mentioned in the 3 verse, that's the main objective. And now to work, to give prema to the people of this world, Gora Hari Avatari Premera Badara Kori, that's the secondary. That's the auxiliary objective, which is going on at the same time. So Ramananda Roy, in Ramananda Samvad, he tells Mahaprabhu, Radhikara Bhava Kanti Kori Angikar, Nija Rasa Aswaditi Kori Acha Avatar, Nija Guda Karya Tomar, Prema Ashwadan, Anusangi Premamoy, Koile Tribhuvan. So he's saying that your purpose in coming...
Where the sun is coming down behind the clouds.
Yeah, can you hear me? I think
Yeah, I'm bringing Lalina home.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what that was. There's this Tirthakar group saying something. This mic, it has a fancy system, and when we start singing or playing an instrument or something, the volume automatically goes down a little bit, and then it comes back after a moment. We worked this out with Jai Gaur a few days ago. So Ramananda Roy is telling Mahaprabhu that Radhikara Bhava Kanti Kori Angikar, that to accept the feelings and the complexion, the bodily angikar of Srimati Radharani, you've descended here, Nija Rasa Aswaditi, to taste that rasa, Koriyachi Avatar, that's why you've come. Nija Guda Karya Toma, Prema Aswadan. Your Guda Karya, your secret reason for coming, Nija Guda Karya, is Prema Aswadan, to taste that Prema. And it's the duty of the devotees, in whatever mood the Lord comes in, whether it's Lord Ramachandra, whether it's Lord Narayan, or whatever it may be, it's the duty of the devotees to enhance that particular mood of the Lord and to try to serve it and allow him to assist him to relish that. So he wants to be a devotee. And if we put a peacock feather on his head or a flute in his hands or these things, then he thinks, oh, that's right, I forgot, I actually am Krishna. And then the mood of Radharani goes away, and he's not able to relish that mood of being a devotee. And he's not as merciful, which is an external thing for us, but very important for a lot of devotees. The most important thing for us is we want to please the Lord for his desire. A secondary thing is that we'd like mercy. But both things are connected, because if we worship the Lord as Krishna, then he doesn't have as much mercy. But if he's in the mood of Radha, in the mood of a devotee, he has more mercy. So that's also beneficial for us. So he says, Nija Guda Karya Toma Prema Aswadan. Your secret desire is to taste this love. Anushange Premamoy Koile Tribhuvan. And at the same time, Anushange, there's something else which is following along with it. Anushange, Premamoy Koile Tribhuvan, that you're filling the 3 worlds with Krishna Prem. Just by the way, try to understand the amazing nature of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many devotees, they'll think that this giving this Krishna Prem, this is the most important thing. Because that's the nature, actually, of religion, is that we consider ourselves to be the most important. Atmavan manyate jagat. But this giving this Krishna Prem, even giving prema, this is the Lord's secondary thing, anushange. It's following along with the other thing. So from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's not hard for him to distribute Krishna Prem to all the 3 worlds, because now Tamdas Thakur is inferring, he's Gora Hari. He's Krishna himself, but he has this golden complexion, which means that he has the mood of Radharani. Hari Shabdira Nana Artha Dui Mukyatama. Sarva Mangala Hari Prema Diya Hariman. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that the word Hari has two meanings. It has many meanings, but two of them are prominent. One is that he's destroying all inauspiciousness. And the second is that he's stealing, Hari means to take away, he's stealing the mind with his love. So with his own body, this is why it's important that he's saying Gora Hari, he's Krishna, but he's stealing with this Gora complexion. With his own body, Lord Gora Hari, he's shown the complexion of Radharani. And he's showing, by showing people that complexion of Radha and the mood of Radha, then immediately anyone who saw him, he steals their minds. And he destroys, he takes away all the inauspicious sensual desires in the hearts of the conditioned souls. So these two meanings are prominent of Hari. One is that he steals away, he takes away all inauspiciousness, all the lusty desires and things. And secondly, he steals the mind with his love. He steals someone's mind by giving them Krishna Prem. Just like a monsoon cloud. So Narottam Das Thakur, he's singing here that Badarakari, Premera Badarakari, how he's giving that love, Badarakari, it's just like a torrential rain shower that he's giving it. Just like the monsoon clouds, they shower rain in all four directions. And those rains, they soothe, they take away everybody's minds, they soothe everybody, they take away the heat of the summer season and all the problems of the world. So similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottam Das Thakur, is saying indirectly here that he's making this cloud of prema rise up in this universal sky, and that cloud of prema begins raining down, Premera Badarakari, this Krishna Prem, and it soothes the heat, the tapa, the burning of all the conditioned souls in this material world. They're suffering from these three types of misery, and it inundates everybody in the ocean of Prem. And therefore it's described in some songs, Hema Jaladakoi Prema Dhara Badi Shoy, that there's a golden rain cloud. Kema means golden. Hema Jaladakai Prema Dhara Badi Shoy. And this, what is this golden rain cloud doing? It's showering down torrents and torrents of prema, rain in the form of prema. So this deluge of prem, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is inundating the world, and this prema is a sweet rasa of Braj, which is known as Manjari Bhav, or the prema of Manjari Bhav. And this is also, Narottam Das Thakur is describing this. This is what comes after the verses Guru Maharaj is speaking in Narpita Chirim Chirat Karuna Avatirna Kalo, that he's come to give something that he hasn't given in a long, long time before, which is what? Samat Payitam, he's giving Unata Ujvala Rasa Swabhakti Shriyam, which we spoke about elaborately, which means that Manjari Bhav. So he's coming and he's giving that thing. And how is he giving? He's not giving it in a very shy way. Excuse me, would you like this? Can I offer you something today? No. Premera Bhadarakoi. He's just, there's a huge flood going on. And Mahaprabhu, like a monsoon cloud, just pouring down this rain of Krishna Prem. So this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this prema that he's given, this is the sweet rasa Braj, known as Manjari Bhav, which even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva can't obtain. And therefore, the poet Govinda Das, he sings in a nice song. Patita heri kande chira nahi bande karuna noyana chaya nirupama hema jini ujara goratanu avani gana gori jai gora hey. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Patita Hari Kande, when he sees the patit, the fallen people in this world, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he begins to cry. And he's not able, he can't control himself. Chira nahi bande, he's shaking. He can't be calm. So he's glancing over, Karuna Nayana Chai. His nayana, his eyes are very karuna. He's giving a glance of mercy upon everyone. And what is that mercy that he's coming and giving also? Nirupama Hema Jini Ujjara Goratanu. He has this Goratanu, this golden body, which is Nirupama. It's a matchless Nirupama Hema Jini. It's a matchless golden form. It's amazing. Avanigana Gori Jai. And the poet Govinda Das is singing that for that Gauranga Mahaprabhu, I would die. I'll do anything for Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And what does he mean that I'll die? It doesn't just mean that I'm going to give up my body, but I'm ready to, he's singing that I'm ready to give up any desire for myself. Avani Gana Gori Jai. And he goes on. Govinda Das sings. Gaurange Nichani. Gaurangera Nichani Loya Mori Orupa Madhuri Puriti Chaturi Tila Ada Pari Shete Nadi Dana Asham Kinchana Kinchana. I think that's the chorus. Anyway, I don't quite get that tune there. So he's saying that this Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I can't forget the form that he has. I can't forget the love that he has. O Rupa Madhuri Piriti Chaturi. I can't forget that roop, that form, that sweetness that he has. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Varna Ashrama Kinchana Akinchana. He didn't care about Varna, about ashram. He didn't care whether somebody has something or doesn't have something, whether they're kinchana or akinchana. He doesn't care. Kodakon dosha nahi mani. He doesn't care about whatever faults people have. Kamala Shiva bihi duhala premanidhi dana koreye jagajani. Aichana sade hridaya rashamoy. Rather, he's giving this treasure of Krishna Prem, which is something which Kamala Shiva Bihi, even Lakshmi, Shiva and Brahma, they couldn't get. They can't give it. But he's giving that thing, Duhula Prema Nidhi, he's giving this Prem, Dana Koriye Jagajani. He's giving that Dan, that great treasure, to everyone in the universe. And this Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's tasting Hridaya Rasamoy. In his heart, he's tasting this mellow of Srimati Radharani. Gora Belo Padakash. This is the way that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. Prema Dhaneradhani. He's giving, he's so generous. He's such a dhani, such a giver of charity. And what charity is he giving? Prema Dhaner. He's giving Krishna Prem freely to everyone. Koyala Avani. This is how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. He's making the world rich with Prem. But Govinda Das, he says, Vanchita Govinda Das. I'm desiring this. Vanchita means a desire. But Vanchita also means that I've been cheated. In other words, everybody's getting this, but Govinda Das is not getting this. So this is Godahari Avatari, Premera Vadara Kori. This is the work of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, what he's coming to do. He's descended as Godahari, with a complexion of Srimati Radharani. And he's coming, Prema-bhakti-candrikā. This is his work to distribute Krishna Prema to everyone. So then, Narottam Das Thakur, he sings it, Radhikara Pranapati Ki Bhave Kandai Niti Iha Bhuji Bhakata Samaj. That Brajendanandan Krishna, Swayam Rup Govinda, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nadhir Radhir Govinda Sarvakarana Karnam, who's the cause of all causes and everything, that personality, now Radhikara Pranapati Ki Bhave Kandai Niti, he's accepted the feelings of Srimati Radharani. Although he himself is a pranapati. He's a pranapati. He's the life of Srimati Radharani. In the mood of Radharani, Ki Bhave Kandai Niti, he's just crying and crying. And Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes a verse my Guru Maharaj quoted many times. Kahun Koron, Kahun Pai, Brajananandan, Kahun Mora Prananatha Murali Vadan, Kahare Kohibe, Keba Jani Mora Duk, Branjananan Vinu Pate Morabuk. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying, what can I say? Kahan Koron, Kehapan, who can I speak to? Where can I go? Where can I get Brajendanandan Krishna? Kahan Mora Prananath, where is that Lord of my life, who's Murli Vadana, who's playing the flute? Kahan Kohiba, who shall I say it to? So he's come in the mood of a devotee. When he comes in the mood of the Lord, maybe he's associating with Balaram, his first expansion. But Balaram can't exactly understand these feelings. He wants to understand. He needs to have association with someone who can understand the feelings of the devotees, who can understand the mood of Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he says about Mahaprabhu, he says Mahaprabhu is an extended subject. Srimati Radharani is also an extended subject. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says you can't separate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the devotees. You can't separate Srimati Radharani from her devotees. Those devotees are her Shakti. And they're helping her, they're assisting her in her service to Kanu Krishna. And they're helping her to relish the mood the mood of being a devotee, the mood of Radharani has. Their function is very, very integral, very, very important. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's main purpose, his Nija Guda, his hidden purpose, was to relish the sweetness of Radharani's love. And in particular, he wanted to understand the height of that, the pinnacle of Radharani's ecstasy, which is in the mood of separation, which, as we've been speaking from, it appears in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That separation churns the ocean of prema. And so relishing it is very, very astonishing. You're churning that ocean of prema, and sometimes a huge wave comes. And the wave goes down, and the wave goes up. And this is the heart of Srimati Radharani. So mere mundane words can't reveal all these amazing feelings that Krishna is experiencing that are from the mood of Radharani. They're coming from the heart of Srimati Radharani. In separation from Krishna, Radharani's become unmadan. She's become completely mad. Her heart and then has become filled with Krishna. Her knowledge becomes just all Krishna. Her meditation is all Krishna. Her heart is all Krishna. Everything, Srimati Radharani is just everything for Krishna. And therefore, Radharani becomes known as Krishnamayi. She's completely full of Krishna. She just sees Krishna everywhere. She is the embodiment of Krishna consciousness. And therefore, she's Krishna Chaitanya. We can say that's a name for Srimati Radharani. That personality who's Krishnamayi, who's full of Krishna, she's Krishna Chaitanya. Chaitanya means consciousness. She's full of consciousness of Krishna. And Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna. She's wandering about through the forests of Vrindavan like a mad woman, Pagalini Radha, calling out, Ha Krishna, Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal. And even if she steps on some thorns or something, she doesn't even notice that. In Ujjwal Nilamani, Srila Rupa Goswami describes that sometimes she's standing on Govardhan Hill looking for Krishna, and in separation from Krishna, she doesn't notice that the stones she's standing on are razor sharp. And they're so hot that you could cook on them. It's in the hot sun, those stones. And Radharani's standing on them, and she doesn't feel. But then she sees Krishna. And the same hot stones feel very soft. They're very, very razor sharp and so hot. They feel soft and they feel very, very cooling. So this is Srimati Radharani. She's Krishnamoyi. And in separation from Krishna, she's become like a mad woman, wandering around the forest, searching for Krishna. Ha Krishna, where is Krishna? She's so anxious to get Krishna. And her Sakhis, somehow, they're trying to save her life. Srimati Radharani has become Prema Pagalini. There's many ladies who are Pagalini. Right? Ladies are a little crazy. Pagalini means a crazy woman. But Prema Pagalini, they're not Prema Pagalini. They're Deha Pagalini usually. They're mad over their bodies. They're mad over their children. They're mad over their husbands. They're mad over something in their mind. But Srimati Radharani, she's Prema Pagalini. She's mad because she's Krishnamoyi, because she's completely full of consciousness of Krishna. So it's this mood that Krishna has come to accept, that he's become Gauranga Mahaprabhu. This Dibyonmada of Srimati Radharani, this divine madness of Sri Chaitanya, of Srimati Radharani. And Gauranga is tasting that in his Gambhira Leela here in Nilachala Jagannath Puri. And no one can understand those deep feelings. Only devotees can experience it, according to the capacity that they have. So this is Sri Radhikara Pranapati Kibhave Kandaya Niti Iha Bhuje Bhakata Samaj. Meaning when he says Iha Bhuje Bhakata Samaj, that he's tasting this, he's realizing this bhav in the association of the devotees and the Bhakta Samaj. And indirectly, Narottam Das Thakur is describing that it means that Krishna can't understand it. Krishna can't understand the loving activities of his devotees. Because Krishna, he's Priti Vishray. He's the supreme object of love. Whereas the devotees are Ashray, they're the abode of love. So who has the ability to understand this relishment that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing? And we can say the same thing. Who has the ability to understand Mahabhavamoyi Radha? Unless Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, we wouldn't have been able to understand that mood of Radha. Bhakatera Prema Bhikar Deki Krishna Chamatkar Krishna Jarnapai Anta Keva Charan Ar. That even Krishna himself, Deki, when he sees Bhakatera Prema Bhikar, the transformations, the ecstatic transformations of his devotees, Krishna Chamatkar, Krishna, it's astonishing. Krishna Jana Pai Anta Keva Charan. He can't find the end of it. Krishna, who's Sarvagya, who knows everything, who's the cause of all causes, he can't find the limit of the love of the devotees. Bhakta Premira Jota Dasha Jagati Prakar. So if Krishna can't find that, if he can't find, then what to speak of some ordinary person? Krishna himself, Bhakta Premira Jota Dasa Jagati Prakar, he can't understand, he can't fully know the goals of the devotees, what the devotees, the dasa, the transformations that the devotees are going to, the different stages and things. Jota Dukkha, Jota Sukha, Jota Ke Vikar. Kaviraj Goswami describes the unhappiness, the happiness, the transformations of those things of the devotees praying. Krishna can't understand it. So to understand that thing, Krishna taha samyak na parijanite. He can't understand it. Therefore, bhakta bhava angi kore taha aswadite. He comes in the mood of a devotee so that he can taste that thing. And Kaviraj Goswami describes, my Guru Maharaj oftentimes quoted these verses, Krishna re nachaya prema bhakti nachaya. That this Krishna prema, it's making Krishna dance. It's making the devotees dance. Apane nachaya, and prema itself is dancing. Tina nache ekatai. And all three of these are dancing together. In one place, the devotees are dancing, Krishna is dancing, and Krishna prema itself is also dancing. This is the kaj, the work of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Premera bikaravani te chahi jai jana. That he says that anybody who wants to try to understand this premera bikar, this transformations of Krishna prema that the devotees are experiencing, it's not possible. It would be like a dwarf, a midget, trying to catch the moon. Chanda dharite. Chanda means the moon, dharite means to catch. Chanda dharite chahi jena hoy vamana. Just like Vamana, a dwarf, who wants to try to catch the moon. It's not possible. Vayu jochi sindhu jalara hare eka kan. Or just like the wind, how can the wind experience the ocean? The wind can take maybe one drop of the ocean. But the wind can't lift up the whole ocean. It can't experience the whole ocean. Similarly, he says, Krishna prema kanera toichi jivara sparshan. Just a drop of Krishna prema. Just a drop of that Krishna prema, jivara sparshana, it's able to touch jivara sparshana, the living entity. Kshani shani uttari premera taranga ananta. Kshani kshani means moment after moment, moment after moment. Ute premera taranga. There's all kinds, there's waves of this prema rising and falling. Jiva chara kaha tara paibeka anta. How can an ordinary living entity, how can a conditioned soul understand that or find an end to that? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jahai Kori Aswadan. What Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is relishing. Shabi Eka Jani Taha Swarupadi Gan. Swarup Damodar Goswami, he can understand that. Only the devotees like Swarup Damodar Goswami can understand that thing. Jiva hoye kore jay tahara varnana apana surite tar choy eka kan. Someone, a conditioned soul, Kaviraj Goswami says, who wants to speak about this thing, to understand the varnana or the qualities of this thing, he does it apane surite tar, for his own purification. Tara choy eka kan, and therefore he can only touch just a drop of that. Because without being purified, how can we relish it? How can we drink that thing? But in the beginning, at least, we should just try to describe this thing. This is the function of our sampradaya. And this is what Narottam Das Thakur is giving us in his Prema-bhakti-candrikā, which Guru Maharaj is describing in his Mongol Charna prayers. Very, very important principle that we should try to describe and understand the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I want to stop there, and I want to thank everybody. At first, everybody came a little late, and I thought that we maybe going to cancel tonight. Natalia has a poor internet connection. Okay. So nice to see everybody in Brajabanita, Hare Krishna. Brajabanita now, if anybody goes to Israel and you want to have your hair done or something like that, you can go and see Brajabanita. She's a person.
Yes, exactly. Coloring, everything, whatever.
Lila Purushottam.
Wigs. If Lila Purushottam decide to make a wig, I can make a wig.
If you want a wig or something, okay. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any reflections you want to share? Ujjwala Rasigya, I don't know if you're there. I know you usually have to work around this time. So if you want to share something, we'll give you the first shot. Looks like you're inside the hospital right now, and she's running outside. We want to see the famous brick wall The famous brick wall background for Ujjwala Rasagya. There it is. Any reflections you want to share with us today? It's kind of a quick, simple thing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, my pranams to you, to all the devotees there.
Hare Krishna. So you have
Hare Krishna.
any reflections you want to
Yeah.
share today?
It's a beautiful, beautiful Katha, Prabhu, Gaura Katha. And my takeaway today is the ladies are generally puglies, but they are different puglies. But Srimati Radharani is Krishnamayi. Her intelligence is Krishna, thought is Krishna, word, deed, Krishna, everything Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Well, thank you. You also touched on one of my favorite points, how Radharani is Krishnamaya. And there's your famous brick wall behind you. That's Ujjwala Rasaga's brick wall. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So we'll go on. Let's see. Natalia, do you want to share anything? I don't know if we can see you or not, but at least we can hear your voice. There you are.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. It was beautiful description. I liked the point which you said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say like, excuse me, I want to share something with you, but he was pouring prem from a cloud. And I remember that actually like Vaishnava preaching should be in humble mood. And then I was thinking, interesting, what kind of preaching was Prabhupada's preaching? Was it sometimes also as a cloud, like pouring prem from a cloud?
Yeah, when you say Premara Badada Koti, that he's showering prema down just like a cloud, what does that imply? The cloud, as Krishna describes to Nanda Maharaj when he speaks to them about why they should worship Govardhan Hill, Krishna says Indra is sending the clouds, but the cloud is raining on the ocean. The ocean doesn't need the rain. The cloud is raining on the desert. The desert is, who's there in the desert? There's no vegetables or anything like that. The cloud is indiscriminate where it's giving. So we should meditate on this as devotees, as aspiring followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We also want to try to give mercy in that way. And as you're saying, we should do this with new people, but not just with new people. In some ways, it's easier to give mercy to new people than it is to devotees. When someone's been living in the temple for some time and we see them picking up some prasadam with their left hand, or maybe they're late to Mongol Artik, or maybe we saw them, oh my God, they're chanting japa and they pick their nose or something. I don't know what it is. We saw them doing something like that. Then we become very disturbed. And we want to chastise them, we want to correct them and things. But Premara Badada Koti means that this mercy is being given without limit to everyone. That doesn't mean that we want to associate freely with everyone on the same level. We're not impersonalists like that either. But it means that if we want to be followers of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we have to freely give mercy. And that mercy also means forgiveness. It means tolerance. Just like Natalia, you have your children. And if every mistake that they made, if you blew up at them, how dare you, you broke that thing, you're nonsense, you woke me up, you're fighting. If we had no forgiveness for our children, you would have killed them. You can't be a parent. A parent means someone who's going to tolerate. If Brajabanita didn't tolerate any mistakes from her cats, the cats come and they claw on the furniture.
Not only from the cats, even from customers, you know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of psycholog, yeah.
That's my point. But sometimes we tolerate our children, we tolerate the cats, or maybe we tolerate our customers because the customers are also really obnoxious, but whatever. But how do we tolerate the children? How do we tolerate the cats? With love and affection. And we forgive them because they can't really help themselves. That's just the way they are. But that's what people are. And even sometimes they may be a big manager, a big sannyasi or something, but it's just the way they are. When I was 17 years old, I went and lived with my grandmother, poor lady. A crazy California teenager living with her. And we had to tolerate each other in many different ways. And that old lady, she was really very difficult, and she always wanted to talk, and she always wanted to preach to me about Jesus and all these things which I really wasn't interested in hearing at all. But she was a very beautiful person. And I learned to tolerate her strangeness, and she's telling me the same stories every day, day after day, and saying some silly things with her. I learned to tolerate those things and love her in spite of that. And learning to do that was a good experience for me. It wasn't just that she was benefiting, but I was benefiting. So Prema-bhakti-candrikā, Narottam Das Thakur is describing that Mahaprabhu was showering down this prema like rain, meaning it is uttama adama kichina bachil. He's not considering who's a qualified candidate, who's an unqualified candidate. And this is the nature of our relationships. If in a marriage, every time your wife started crying or did something obnoxious, or every time the husband made a mistake, you just said, that's it, I can't forgive that. You would have no more marriage. If you did the same thing with your children, you would have thrown them out the window a long time ago. You would have killed your children a long time ago. They wouldn't grow up. You would have killed your cats a long time ago, Brajabanita. We know we have to learn this kind of love. And let's meditate on that kind of love that we have, even for our children, for our cats and whatever. That's the kind of love we should have for each other. And that love is characterized by tolerance. Prema-bhakti-candrikā therefore means that it's indiscriminate where that prema, where that love is falling. And that doesn't mean that we have to go and live with somebody who we don't appreciate, but still we can have affection for them. Because as devotees, at least we should hate the sin and not the sinner. At least we should be as good as the Christians, and not identify that person with that particular fault that they have. Just like a child, if a child does something bad, and you start telling a child, you're stupid, you are bad, you are this or that, because you did this thing. That's such a negative message to give to the child, or you may give it to your cats too. It's such a negative message to give to an animal or to a child. It hurts them. And similarly, we should be very careful. We don't want to do that with each other either. And again, we may have to keep a distance, but at least we should be tolerant. And that tolerance is a symptom of our love. Hare Krishna Gauranataraj. Nice to see you here, Prabhuji. He's just writing, I want to express my huge gratitude to have the opportunity to take part in this group. It's a good fortune for you. It's profoundly inspiring. Thank you so much for allowing this poor soul in your association. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you very much, Natalia. Is that okay? Does that resonate a little bit with you? Because I'm sure you tolerate a lot from your children. Every mother does, but you just do it out of love. And you just don't take it very seriously. And even sometimes a child comes and the mother has to take away a piece of candy or something. The child says, I hate you. Go away. But you don't take it very seriously. They say, I hate you. You don't get a mental complex about it. So why should we get a mental complex when some older devotee does some stupid thing like that? We just think anyway, he's under the modes of nature a little bit. It's okay. Let me tolerate it. Maybe I have to keep away from him. I'll get angry or I'll come to a lower consciousness. But I should tolerate that. It's Prema-bhakti-candrikā. Okay? Thank you, Natalia. Is that okay? Gauranataraj Prabhu, do you want to add anything yourself? Do you want to share anything with us? Can we see you?
Haribo, I'm not sure if my signal is good enough.
Okay.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
In those regards, just with what you are sharing, and I feel it, at least in myself, in my life, the way I live, that sense when we are in the temple and we are living with people who are already practicing devotional service, sometimes which are practicing for longer and still have that sense of love, of appreciation to them. And there's that I feel that responsibility that we also need to grow in a way that we can also contribute for their lives, not just when we go out in the streets and doing Harinam and giving books to new people, but also that we can inspire those who are already practicing. Like Prabhupada said, churn the milk, and also bring things which are contributing to their life.
Yeah, I see it disturbs me sometimes when I see devotees. We're very tolerant. Looks like we just lost him. His connection dropped. He's back. I see sometimes we're very tolerant with new people. But then when they move into the temple, all of a sudden, just a week later, 2 weeks later, or maybe a year later, now all of a sudden we're demanding so much from them. And it offends a lot of us. Why does it offend us? Because they're demanding respect, like you would have to respect Guru. When someone comes and chastises you, that's the business of Guru. Guru has a right, Karnadara, he has a right to grab a hold of your ear and say, hey, badmas, rascal, nonsense. But we want to do that just indiscriminately with so many devotees, and we see some fault. We say, I want to bless them, I want to help them. But many times the devotees feel a little offended by that. Why? Because we're artificially trying to take the position of their guru. And it's not right. It doesn't fit. So thank you, Gauranath. How did you find out about this program today?
I was from Nitai, Gaura Nitai.
Gauranitai Prabhu in Hungary.
Yes, he's been merciful to me.
Okay. He's not even here today either.
No.
Okay. So you speak Hungarian, Prabhuji? You're from Budapest?
No, I'm from Portugal originally.
From
and
Portugal.
I'm living in France.
I see that.
Yes.
Gauranitai Prabhu, he's very multilingual, he's all over the place in France and Hungary and others. Thank you very much for taking part today, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Tirtha Raj Prabhu, do you want to, Tirthakar Prabhu, I'm sorry, do you want to share some reflection, anything with us?
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing, which really inspired me, and it was connected because I was listening yesterday or somewhere, this, I think, 17th part of meeting at Kurukshetra. And it was a similar point which you mentioned today, that devotees, they do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. That's the ideal, right? That if you come to that stage that actually Krishna's interest is on the first place. And I remember you also explained that when Nanda Maharaj found out that Krishna will stay in Mathura, he was not, or when he heard that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva, he didn't start to like quarrel, because he knew that Krishna will not be happy about that, So he just held it for himself, and he wanted pleasure of Krishna and Vasudeva, of the devotees, right? So this was a really nice point which you mentioned today. The devotees, they do things, even if they, I wanted to also ask you, because when they appear in the past times, like with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many of them are, because as we know, they're in the role or in a rasa of a dasya, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime, but many of them are originally not in a dasya. They are maybe even madhurya or like that, but they are accepting for the pleasure of Krishna, which is from the rasa point of view lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you if you maybe can comment on that.
Yeah, that dasya ras, which we see in Gaura Lila, the dasya is a primary mood of a servant, a primary feeling of a devotee, of a sadhak. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come, and he's acting like a sadhak. And he wants to be the Devadasi, or the Dasi of Srimati Radharani. And the devotees, they also accept that servitorship. Srimati Radharani, she wants to be the servant of Krishna. But now Krishna's coming, and he wants to be the servant of Radharani. And how does he serve Radharani? By glorifying her, by sharing with other people the glories of Radharani's love, which without him doing that, we wouldn't be able to understand it at all. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I had some other thought I wanted to share, some reflections. It reminded me of something, but I'm not finding it now. Let's see. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, so Narottam Das Thakur in the beginning of Prema-bhakti-candrikā, I'm kind of going there, just reflecting on your comment. He starts off with this very famous verse, Agyana-timirandasya gyananjana shalakaya. And what is the significance of that verse? That he's saying that we're agyana. We're in the mode of ignorance. In other words, he's indicating our senses and how dull our senses is. That our senses, they can't appreciate this bhakti. So how can we make our senses able? Narottam Das Thakur is praying to Nityananda Prabhu. How can Nityananda is praying to Mahaprabhu here, again at Timirandasya, how can these senses become powerful enough so that they become greedy for bhakti? Because that greed is all important, that lobha. How can we get that greed? And you can say so many things, and we can read Uja Nilamani and Govinda Lilamrita and this and that and the other, but it's just artificial for us. How can our senses develop that greed? Our senses are budmasters, such rascals that they're pulling us here and there and everywhere. When Krishna appears in the form of Gurudev. And this is one of the internal meanings in this verse, Agyana-timirandasya gyananjana shalakaya. That I'm in a mode of ignorance. I can't perceive anything with my senses, but I'm worshiping Gurudev. Gurudev has come. And I can worship him, I can interact with him with my senses, and my senses become attracted to serving Gurudev. And then we can begin to understand this Prema-bhakti-candrikā, this thing which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving. That was my reflection, your reflection, Tirthakar Prabhu. I was just hearing, you visited Ypsilanti in Michigan in America some years back. You were giving classes there, I think?
Yeah, I think I was there twice. I think 2017 and maybe 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent some time there with devotees, like each time like a week or something like that. It was very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful place. We like it very much too. The devotees remember you there. They were speaking something about you.
I hope with a positive remembrance.
Yeah, it's all very good. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Tirthakar Prabhu. Let's see here. How about Braja Banita? Would you like to share something with us today? Any reflections you have?
It was just kind of torrent. Yeah, I like few things. I like this point that Radharani, she is actually Krishna Chaitanya. She's in
Krishnamoy. Yeah.
Krishnamoy, but she's also in consciousness of Krishna. She's full of, so actually our philosophy and our movement, it's Krishna Chaitanya. It's not, verbally, it says like Krishna consciousness in English, but actually it's Krishna Chaitanya. This is our philosophy, this is our movement. So I like it.
Yeah, very nice. And that Krishna Chaitanya, this simply means consciousness of Krishna.
Yeah,
but whose consciousness of Krishna? There's so many people who, we want, this is Radharani's consciousness of Krishna, because also Subal, Sridham, Madhu Mongol, there's so many different devotees in Braj or in Dwarka or Mathura who are also Krishna conscious.
Yes, and also I like also very much this question and this answer that you gave about that someone asked you about Dasa Rasa and Madhurya Rasa and different. And I just remember that Guru Maharaj says once, he just quoted the morning work of Srila Prabhupada, I think. Also, when some devotee asked Srila Prabhupada similar question, and about Swarup, and maybe in Swarup you will be even cow in the Vrindavan, or any animal, or bush, or tree. And Srila Prabhupada was smile and say, from our position, it really doesn't matter now. it's not our level. It's not, we are on our way, but it's not the thing that we...
Yeah, and what is that Dasya Bhav, or that mood of servitorship in the line of Gauranga Mahaprabhu? What are we serving? We're serving the Madhurya Ras.
Yeah.
We're serving that Manjari Bhav. That's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. And that's what the devotees, either Anvaya or Vyatireka, directly or indirectly, that's what they're all serving. Just like in Vrindavan, everyone is serving directly or indirectly Radha and Krishna. Even Jatila and Kutila have their role to play to help enhance things.
But what I try to say, that what Srila Prabhupada actually meant, that it's in from the point of Svarupa, there is no such thing like better or less good.
Right.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, whatever position someone has, they're satisfied.
Yeah, it's the most satisfying for this particular person or for this particular, you know.
Okay. Thank you, Brajabani. Hey, you know something, Brajabani? Your hair is getting long.
It's too long already, but I don't know. It's still cold. I think maybe to cut. But
Okay. Just a comment. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. Who else is there? Leela Purushottam Prabhu, do you want to share anything?
Hare Krishna. I was in pure bliss now with your conversation with Brajabani. That was, I also wanted to mention that I really like this point that Radha's name can be, one of Radha's name can be Krishna Chaitanya. And you made it even even more wonderful when we say like Krishna consciousness, then you put this question, who's Krishna consciousness? Radha's Krishna consciousness. So that's really so wonderful. Maybe I already few times tried to ask it or discuss it here in our Sangha, but I still not really clear about that point, so maybe I will use now because you were discussing it a little bit. There is this like understanding, like the Gaura's external reasons for his appearance and internal reasons. And we can see that as soon as we join the movement and we start to practice the sadhana bhakti, we are mainly directed with our focus on serving that external reason of Gaura's appearance, meaning like we are immediately engaged in preaching activities and like spreading the Krishna consciousness, like Ragmar, Bhakti Loke, Karite Pracharan. But then I remember that a few times I asked you about how do we serve Lord to those internal reasons of Lord Chaitanya, and you used that wonderful, brilliant term that I love really so much, that it is kirtan of our sampradaya, to serve the internal reasons of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. But now my question is like, how does it look like for the sadhaka, like practically? Is it done as a conception of our Nam Bhajan, and we can like still be on the Harinam, so to say, serving that external reason, but with our conception of the Nam Bhajan, we may be absorbed in fulfilling that or serving that internal reason? Or is that any at all reasonable to think that we can serve that that internal reason? Isn't it just something that Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to fulfill for himself, as it is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that it's his personal reason?
So in the beginning, it depends on our consciousness. In the beginning, we're anamoya. We just know food. I like rasgullas. I like halava. And we just go to the temple to get prasadam. And that's why I was originally going. Actually, I was living on the street as a street musician, and I was a vegetarian, and I go to the temple to get prasadam. But I also like philosophy, and I like to hear things. And then we start hearing something more, but still we're so self-absorbed. We think everything is all about me, and who am I going to get married to? How am I going to make money? Where am I going to have a house? And maybe a little higher, am I going to get liberation? Am I going to purify my heart? But it's all about me, me, me. But the same activities may be done by someone else, and externally it looks just the same. They're doing the exact same thing. They're going out in Harinam, they're carrying the pole, they're distributing books or distributing stickers or whatever, but their consciousness is completely different. Their face is turned to Krishna, and they're wanting to, and they may be a housewife taking care of children, they may be someone with a beauty salon doing people's hair, they may be a sannyasi, GBC, going to the GBC meetings and whatever and talking about money and rules and whatever, but internally they may be completely absorbed in that thing. And we should understand that. The Bahirmukh Janas, external persons, I've heard this a lot said from some Vaishnavas that I consider to be really higher Vaishnavas who've spent a lot of time chanting 1 lakh or even 2 or 3 lakhs a day for many, many years and associating with higher Vaishnavas, and they've commented that external devotees are always looking for external things. And they're absorbed in counting how many rounds. They're thinking that a higher Vaishnava is someone who chants 1 lakh a day. A higher Vaishnava is someone who worships a Govardhan Shila. Or the more Shilas you have, if you have 200, 300 Shilas, wow, you're really like an incarnation, you're really super cool. Or you never wear Western clothes, you always wear a dhoti. Or this thing or that, they're always looking for some external thing. And they're also looking for those external things in their sadhana. But it's the same thing. It's the same activity. There's no difference between the activities that we do. We might be we will be more inclined maybe to reading certain books at a certain point. But at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here in Jagannath Puri, he was reading Dhruva Charit, the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj and the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, over and over again, just to teach us this particular point. And he's doing it for Lokasiksha, to teach us that Davante Chamadyecha Hari Savati Giyate, wherever you touch the Bhagavatam in the beginning, the middle, and the end, it's all nectar. But at the same time, he's relishing something internal. And who can understand that internal thing? So it's paradoxical to me in a lot of ways. And inside of our movement, it's paradoxical. We see devotees, people coming and they have a very external understanding of the movement and what's going on. And it seems like Srila Prabhupada even is facilitating or even encouraging them like that. But we should be mature and just see this is where they're at. Just like we were saying to Natalia and to Brajabanita, your children, your cats, that's just the way they are. You can't chastise a cat because it's so hungry, it's crying for food or something, tell it, don't talk, be quiet, have better manners, your manners are not. That's just, the animal is just the way it is. And if you want to love that animal, then you overlook its faults and go ahead. And so we need to overlook the faults of other people. We need to overlook the fact that sometimes or many times they're neophyte. And we just love them, and we're just so very, very happy they're taking prasadam. They're coming to the temple. They're doing anything. We're just so very, very happy. We want to encourage them. And we don't talk so intimately with them. It's not appropriate. If we do, they won't understand. And just like they nailed Jesus to the cross, so also Lila Purushottam, if you go to the temple and you try to start speaking about Prema-bhakti-candrikā, this thing or that thing, they'll nail you to the cross and you'll die for the sins of ISKCON Czech.
Many times.
Many times it's already happened. And we can complain about that. And we can say, oh, those guys, they don't understand and they're bad, they're like this. But they're just like Brajabanita's cats. They are what they are. And what's the point in being angry with them or frustrated with them? We should just love them and tolerate them. But we should also think that maybe the fault is with me. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to read Bhagavad Gita. Brajabhanita, she tries to read Bhagavad Gita to her cats. And she gets frustrated because the cats don't want to sit and listen to Bhagavad Gita.
They prefer Bhagavatam.
What's that?
Good cats.
They prefer Bhagavatam.
Oh, they like the Bhagavatam better. Okay. Anyway, most cats, I don't know, Brajabhanita's cats are very special. They like the Bhagavatam. But most cats, if you try to start reading Bhagavad Gita or something to them, they don't relate to it. They don't care about it. But you still love them, you still tolerate them. And you just don't read Bhagavad Gita with them. Maybe Brajabhanita reads Bhagavatam with them, but anyway, you don't read those things because they can't digest it. My grandma's once, he told me the frogs can't digest a ghee. Right? So they're a frog, and they just can't digest ghee. But we still love them. And we love them for Srila Prabhupada. We love them for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We love them because they've come to Prabhupada's movement. It's such an important thing. We have to learn to be tolerant and forgiving with other people. Otherwise, the movement won't be able to function. And we're not going to get that thing that we're aspiring for. So we should see this in our Nam Bhajan also, that some people, they're coming. And for a lot of people, it's religion. Every Sunday, and they're real strict. I have to go every Sunday and I serve out prasadam, and it's great. That's fantastic. That's their religion. They're doing that. What a great religion. They don't know there's something secret. There's some poison inside this Kool-Aid. They're taking. It's going to affect them in a certain way. And they're doing that Nam Bhajan. They're doing that thing. And then at one day, all of a sudden, they're going to realize, wow, I've been doing this for myself. But what about my Gurudev's desire? What about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire? And as they become more purified, they're more and more able to think about that desire. And then they want to hide. They don't want to show off that they've gotten this valuable treasure. So they're just doing the same thing everybody else is doing. And they just look like a hairdresser. They just look like a housewife. They just look like a Gurukuli kid. Or maybe they just look like a GBC sannyasi who get abused probably more than anybody else in our society. Nobody has mercy for them. I'll tell you, they really get abused a lot. We should also have mercy for them. But we should do our bhajan. Is that something helpful, Lila Purushottam? I realize I went on a tangent. I'm sorry. A rant.
It was wonderful. Yet still, when we are when we, let's say, manage to go through all those stages and live through all those external things, and with the mercy, help of Gurudev, Sadhu Sangha, we can come to that point that we start to be, maybe I would use the term Saragrahi. We're really looking for the essence, and then we come to that point that we don't want to be selfishly motivated in our service, in our endeavors to please the Lord. Then still the question for me is, where does the difference lies for me myself in satisfying like serving that inner purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to experience the Radharani's mood, compared to serving the, say, distribution of even Manjari Bhav, if we say so. It doesn't have to be so external. We can really have the understanding that Anarpita Charin Chirat, Unata Ujvala Rasa Svabhakti Shriyam, and that is what Gauranga came to give, and we can have a focus on distributing that, but we are still serving his external purpose. So my question is, like, what makes it for me that, like if I say, if I could express, like, when we went now with our reading group through the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we came to those parts like the beginning of Madhya Leela, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami summarizes the Antya Leela, and then those chapters of Antya Leela where really is described the Gambhira Leela and this part. I was so much touched and inspired with even the verses itself, like the poetic presentation, how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compiled the whole thing. And then many times I found myself just sitting down in the temple room, reciting, reading those verses aloud for the Gornitai, with the idea that it might be pleasing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Gornitai, to hear, but it might be just totally foolish endeavor. I don't know. Can you get it? What's my?
There's an external and internal thing. First of all, let's just touch a little on the external, which you're not speaking about really. But even with the external, sometimes there's some difference too, because when someone comes to a certain point, when they come to the point of ruchi and bhav, they become more focused maybe on one thing. They just love to distribute prasadam. And that may be their favorite activity. Or they're really dedicated to the deity. Or like Haridas Das Babaji, who wrote the Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidan, they just do Granta Seva, and he's doing Granta Seva for practically 20 hours a day. And he's hardly chanting even anything. But he's writing about chanting, and his work is connected with chanting. So sometimes that external sadhana will change. Guru may tell us a certain thing. He may suggest you should read this particular book because you like this particular mood or something. When that naturally awakens in our heart, sometimes there may be some external thing too. But generally the devotees will try to hide that. Now, as to what is the difference internally, that's a natural thing. Krishna consciousness, in that sense, it's natural. We have this word sahajya, which is a bad word in ISKCON. It's like Mayavadi. But sahajya is a common word in Bengali and Oriya. It means easy. It means something which is natural. So in that sense, bhakti is very natural. And we will come to a certain point where it's just natural for us. In the beginning, we don't even have a clue. We can't even understand the idea of someone else's desires. I'm just here because I have my problems. My girlfriend left me. Oh my God, I have this disease. How can I get a husband, or whatever the problem is? People are coming for that, and we're so absorbed in ourselves. And that's why we have to associate with Guru intimately, and we have to associate intimately with the Vaishnavas, because after some time of associating with them, we see, wow, they're not affected by all these things. They're not bothered. What is their mood? And maybe they don't show that, but you come a little closer to them and then you start to see what their mood is. And the first thing you see is their complete detachment from COVID conspiracies. Their complete detachment from politics, from this thing and that thing. And they're just really attached to serving Krishna and to hearing and chanting. And wow, what a concept. And then we want to serve that person. So then we understand that the best way to serve them, to please them, is by chanting. And that's what the Manjaris are doing for Srimati Radharani and the gopis. She's feeling separation from Krishna. And so all the gopis and Manjaris come around her and they do kirtan. And that kirtan is not their religion. That kirtan is not so they get liberation. That kirtan is not so they'll get a husband or they'll get some sukriti. The kirtan is purely for the pleasure of Srimati Radharani. And so when we're doing our kirtan is a part of that kirtan. It's an echo of that kirtan. It may not be direct because we don't have those feelings. so much of the time. But it's an echo of that thing. And when we begin to understand the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mood of Srila Prabhupada, and I'm glad you like that expression we use, the kirtan of our sampradaya. It's my favorite expression. And we begin to understand the kirtan of our sampradaya, we're doing the same thing. All of a sudden, it just, wow. It's like if you ever saw the movie, which I used to watch it every year when I was growing up as a young boy. What is it? I want to say the Land of Oz. What is it?
Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. It's been a long time since we saw that. The Wizard of Oz. In the Wizard of Oz, there's Dorothy, and she's living in Kansas. And Kansas is a boring nonsense place, and her teacher's really demoniac, and everything's black and white. But then when she goes to the Land of Oz, all of a sudden everything becomes colored. And so in the same way, for a devotee, we're just going along and everything's kind of black and white and it's all about religion. But we come to a certain point where we understand by the mercy of some Vaishnava, by the mercy of Guru, that treasure that's in their heart. And what is that treasure? The treasure is their mood. And we start to understand that. Then all of a sudden we see everything in color. Just like a transformation in that movie. Is that a little more helpful?
It's much more than I deserve.
Because you don't deserve me, that's for sure. You deserve much more. Anybody here in the room want to share anything? Amiyat Prabhu, Elena? Anybody else? Yeah? Yes, you have something? Krishna Kun, you want to flip the camera around so we can...
Maybe I just talk.
Should I do this like this?
Yeah, just keep flipping it around. Keep going, keep going, keep... There we go.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhavananda Prabhu. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I liked the point you said we cannot taste those spiritual deep feelings of...
Can everybody hear her okay?
She can speak a little bit louder.
Yeah, it could be a little louder.
Okay. You said we cannot taste those feelings, spiritual feelings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srimati Radharani, without being purified, right? And answering the questions, nice questions, you said tolerance and forgiveness is so important for us. While being in just starting your spiritual life, when you have that potency to forgive and tolerate so much, and trying to have intimate relationship with Vaishnavas. There was one question and you not so brilliantly replied then that we try to be nice to new people, and when we associate in the temple with devotees, sometimes we not so tolerant, right? So if we have this potency to tolerate, if you try to be intimate in relationship, like you open some weak points of yourself, and then this becomes maybe for public, or something like that, then how can you, and if it's difficult to, you understand that's this for purifying, for your purification, but at the same time, to tolerate and forgive, it's a little hard. So how to do, but still you want to, to open your heart, to continue, go deeper in the relationship. So how to deal?
Can you flip it around, Carl?
Yeah, I can.
Thanks. Yeah, you can't just snap your fingers and say, I love you, I forgive you. It's okay. There's been some terrible things which have happened even in our movement. Children have been molested. There have been people been killed, and terrible things. And we can just say, I forgive you. You might, but it's artificial, and it doesn't really feel right. So we have a process. And part of the process is, Prabhu, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Please forgive me for my offenses. And we say that. And it may be mechanical. Oftentimes I quote a friend of mine who was a sannyasi, He was a co-GBC, and when I was a temple president in one temple, and he was an initiating guru, and he had a great sense of humor, and then many times he would go to devotees and say, "Prabhu, please accept my offenses and excuse me for my obeisances." And he's making a joke out of it. And what is the purport of the joke? The purport of the joke is that we're doing that in a very mechanical way. We might as well just flip it around. Unfortunately for him, he's no longer practicing Krishna consciousness anymore. But we have that principle, and it may be mechanical, but it's still beneficial. We should understand that. That's Vedic culture. That Vedic culture is still beneficial. I've seen children today, Krishna Kunda and I, just an hour ago, we were chanting japa and we were walking around. And there's some little girl who was about, how old do you think that little girl was? And 5 years old, that came running up to us. They're like 5 or 6 years old. All of a sudden, this little girl comes running up and she touches my feet. And she's like this. And then she turns to Krishna Kunda and she does the same thing to her. And you're smiling. Elena's smiling right now. So we were also smiling. Now, she doesn't know us. She doesn't really have so much respect for us. But she's doing that thing. It may be a little mechanical, but it's sweet. And it melts our heart. So in the same way, we should have this Vaishnava etiquette. We should try to serve the Vaishnavas. And we should try to control our tongue. We should try not to speak bad of other people. And we should tell ourselves philosophically why we do this and all this thing. Because it's not natural for us, it's artificial. If I act in a natural way, then I'm just going to come and punch everybody in the face. Right? And just tell them, I hate you, you should get out of the temple, go away. I mean, so that's what's natural. That's really me. But I'm just being honest. I'm just being what I am. But no, we don't want to be like that. That's a demon. That's someone who's covered by the modes of nature. So through philosophy, I want to constantly hear the Bhagavatam. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Gorkashwara's Babaji said, you should read Prema-bhakti-candrikā every day. We should be hearing these books, this Bhagavatam, the Gita, every day. And by hearing over and over again the philosophy, then we begin to imbibe it. But not also only by reading. We need Shravanadikar, a qualification, which comes also by seva. So we serve the devotees. And it melts our heart. It melts the devotee's heart. And they give us some treasure. And what is it? That treasure, it's something which we think is not valuable at all. But that treasure is their feelings, their mood. And we begin to see a little window of what is Gurudev's mood. What is the mood of the higher Vaishnavas. And it's the most valuable thing in all the three worlds. Because of that same mood, it's connected with the holy name. But that's Nama Shreshtam. That's not Kebalanam. That's not the common name. That's Nama Shreshtam because it's imbued with the mood of that person. So that was Srila Prabhupada's desire. We just follow the program Srila Prabhupada gave, and it'll come. But we should really follow it. And we should be careful not to offend Vaishnavas. We should try to offer obeisances to the Vaishnavas. We should try to serve the Vaishnavas. I've seen with higher Vaishnava, Fakir Mohan Prabhu, he used to always want to serve the devotees. He would grab devotees' plates to wash them. He would try to grab their laundry to wash their clothes. And he really meant it. It wasn't just a game. Sometimes, like my sannyasi friend was making a joke, please accept my offenses and forgive me for my obeisances. Sometimes we're doing it in a mechanical way. But even in a mechanical way, if we really try, it melts the heart. Just like that little girl today. Was that okay, Elena?
Some time too.
It takes some time for us. And we have to be tolerant with ourselves also. Sometimes we're devotees, they're so harsh. Devotees become angry and they really want to chastise each other. Why are you have this problem or that problem. You were married before and now you got divorced and now I can't forgive you. Or you did this thing or that. But the mood of Nityananda Prabhu is to forgive everyone, to love everyone if they're chanting the holy name. Maybe we're not so intimate with that person. But we should try to practice that forgiveness, and we have to practice it also for ourselves. I see sometimes devotees, their heads get so bent out of shape that, oh, I shouldn't have any sex desire, I shouldn't have any material desires at all, and I should just be exactly a pure devotee. But I'm not. I'm not. I am who I am. So at the same time, I don't want to go back and just be a gross demon. You know, like I said, if I say, Prabhu, I'm just being who I am, then maybe it means I'm going to come and punch everybody in the face. That's terrible. I don't want to be that person. Right? But at the same time, I need to be myself. So where is the dividing line? Being myself means that I want to practice bhakti, but I'm telling Krishna, Krishna, I'm a demon. I'm an atheist. What do we pray to Srimati Radharani? Pasanchaham aho nityam. I'm a pasandi. I'm a demon. I'm an atheist. I'm just putting on a show. Pasanchaham aho nityam. I'm always like that. Paraparada dharmika. My nature is to offend everyone. But Kshama Shamam Hare Radha. My dear Radha, please forgive me. Kshama Shamam Hare Radha. Dehi me sadhu dharmika. Please make me into a genuine sadhu. So what else do we have to do? Let's associate with the devotees. Let's try to be sweet and loving with the devotees. And it'll come. It'll come. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. There's some comments here too. Gauranath Prabhu. Janananda Maharaj is sending us obeisance. Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, Gauranath Prabhu. My brain is very bad. I forget. I knew I would remember you. You're serving Janananda Maharaj. My humble pranams to Maharaj. Maharaj is doing wonderful things, encouraging everybody to do simple, basic things, Harinam and like that. I take the dust of Janananda Maharaj's feet. Hare Krishna. Anybody else with any reflections? Amiyam Prabhu, Krishna Kun, anything? Krishna Kun, you have
so many that it's just kind of so many.
Why don't you just share your favorite one then, or something a little different? But it'd be nice if you twisted the camera around, if you don't mind, so we can see you. And then you speak loud so everybody can hear.
I don't really don't like.
But we did it to poor Elena, and Elena's she tolerated.
Because you told me to. That is the difference. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, so probably my
Loudly.
favorite was also about
It
tolerance.
was louder, please.
Yeah, they're asking a little louder.
Can you hear me now? Is this good enough?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
It's good.
She's saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So my favorite is about forgiveness and tolerance. And I feel this is so important, especially for myself, especially when we are coming with some baggage. And I never really identified it, but as you were speaking, I was thinking about that article from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur about reforming the reformer. I'm sometimes remembering to speak up. And how when we have a desire to correct others, it means that we haven't heard the holy name. We don't understand that everybody is under Krishna's care. And Guru will correct them in due course of time, when the time is right for them to be corrected. And we need to perform our own reform by being more absorbed in the holy name. So that was very important for me. You didn't go too much in this direction, but you referred to it, and this is what I remembered. So that was very, very important for me. Also very important was the point that you made, that we also have to be tolerant with ourselves, and we have to learn to forgive ourselves. You kind of pointed it out to me earlier today, that I don't have to think immediately about everything that I might do wrong. Maybe Krishna is teaching something else besides that. Also very, very important was for me this Om Jnana Timirandasya in the beginning of Prema-bhakti-candrikā, and how our senses might become controlled, and that's only through service to Srila Gurudev when Gurudev appears, and that's the way we control the senses. So that was a very important point for me. And the two meanings of Shri Hari, Krishna who steals away, Mahaprabhu who steals away the mind and who steals away all the inauspicious things. And I remember that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that by remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything that is difficult becomes very easy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. I liked, I mean, for me it's just important to hear it again, how we worship Mahaprabhu for our benefit, but we dress him for his pleasure. And it's our Gurudev's Katha, and it's very important for me to hear this again and to remember that this is our goal, that we want to be worshipping him for his pleasure. And then there was something else, that Govinda Dasi's song. That was something. And especially two things in that song struck me. One of them is something Karuna Nayane, something how his eyes are so merciful. And just today I had a conversation with a wonderful devotee, and she was telling me that she sees Panchatattva in Mayapur in a way that, yes, they are dancing, chanting the holy names, but their eyes are full of anxiety for us, for the fallen souls. And I would really, I never saw that anxiety in their eyes. What is she seeing that I don't see? What is the mood? She lives in Mayapur, so she's more absorbed in Mahaprabhu, in that mood than I am, obviously, and more absorbed in Mahaprabhu, just non-stop. And I was just thinking about this point and how Govinda Das is saying that I would die for that Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And I would so much like to have this mood, that I would just die for that Mahaprabhu and for giving him pleasure. And I of course I loved your discussion with Lila Purushottam Prabhu, following up on those questions of Vajavanita and the answers that you gave for that. That's where we want to go, but I just want to be where I am at. And they're just working on small things. So thank you, I really felt that it was... Oh, one more thing, that we are glorifying Mahaprabhu at this time, not because we can enter this world, but just for our own purification. And this just felt like an answer to whether I should really be attempting to speak from our Gurudev about Mahaprabhu. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Krishna. Hare Krishna. All right, so I think we'll go ahead and finish there then. Thank you all very much. It's really late. We have to take rest here. We're getting ready to leave tomorrow. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki jai, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol, Vansha Kalpatarubhishcha, Kripa Sindhu Bheva Cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo,